Softball coach Tony Scarborough retiring after 36 years. Scarborough telling AL.com he thinks it's just time. Scarborough has been at Baker since 1986. He's led the Honeybees to 7 state titles over the years, the last coming in 2015. 3 of the 7 were in slow pitch softball. He retires with 1,694 victories and just 524 losses. He was one of the great high school and softball coaches in the state.
Local coaching legend, no doubt about that. Wish him well.
Anthony Scarborough, better known as Tony, was born in New Orleans, Louisiana in 1949. He spent his formative years in Mobile, Alabama before moving to Kent, Washington, where he attended Meridian Junior High and Kent Meridian High School. He returned to Mobile in the 11th grade and graduated from Vigor High School in 1967. A 3-sport varsity athlete, Tony lettered in baseball, football, and cross country at Vigor. Oh, and he was in the chess club too. He went on to earn his bachelor's degree in education from the University of South Alabama in 1972. Tony played football at the semi-pro level with the Mobile Generals from 1975 to 1984. But baseball has always been his first love. Despite his southern roots and growing up in Braves country, Tony was always, and still is, a huge fan of the New York Yankees, and his favorite baseball player is Mickey Mantle. This love of sports led Tony to pursue a career in teaching and coaching. Tony began teaching Dixie Youth Baseball in Chickasaw when he was still in college and had absolutely no interest in coaching any girls' sports whatsoever. When the park director in Chickasaw approached him about coaching softball, he scoffed and said, "No, I'm a baseball coach. I don't coach girls." But he took the team because no one else would coach it. And he fell in love with slow-pitch softball, which he considers to be the ultimate team sport.
I grew up playing baseball. I love playing baseball. I had a passion for the game. If I was good enough, I'd still be playing. I just wasn't quite good enough to play, so I ended up coaching baseball. But they needed a softball coach for 2 weeks because one of the softball coaches had to go out of town. I told them, no, I don't do softball. That's not me. And they kept on and on. I couldn't get anybody else. I said, if you can't get anybody else, I'll do it. And for 2 weeks, I did the little girl softball. I was 12 and under, and I just fell in love with the game. It was the ultimate team game, and just fell in love with the team concept.
He began his teaching career at Chickasaw Academy in 1970. Then he taught at Evangel Christian School in 8 Mile, and then at McLean County High School in Calhoun, Kentucky. At Evangel, he coached his first slow-pitch softball team, compiling a 10-5 record. Those 10 wins are his only high school wins not earned at Baker High School.
Congratulations, Coach, on an outstanding coaching career. Me and you go back a long way, Coach, till I was 13 years old. And you were coaching at Chickasaw and I was playing football at Municipal Park. And then you were the umpire in a 12-inning marathon game when we were playing Saraland out at Norton Park. And then I was able to play freshman football for you at Shaw High School. And I had 2 math classes in the 9th and 10th grade and the junior athletics class. Coach, you worked our rear ends off and you made sure we worked out every day. Coach, you used to work out with a varsity football team. You would dress out in full gear because you were the middle linebacker for the Mobile Generals at the time. Coach, you had tactics of coaching that I still use today. I respect that. Your statistics, I got a lot of my statistics from you, Coach. You kept records on everything, and it motivated us to become better athletes and work harder. And it's an honor to know that I was one of your student athletes at Shaw High School and in youth football and youth baseball. And then you went on to have a wondrous career at Baker High School, 7 state championships, 3 of them with slow pitch softball, the other 4 fast pitch softball, 1,694 victories on the softball field against just 524 losses. Incredible, Coach. Thousands and thousands of girl softball players you've taught to play the game of softball, and then more thousands of male athletes that'll always remember you for the things you did for us. And I appreciate it, Coach, and so many others do. And I wish you the best in your retirement. And I know it's going to be hard for you to get off that softball field, and if I know you, you probably won't. because you just got it in you, Coach. You know how to win, you know how to coach, and you know how to play the game for everybody. And hey, I don't want to tell you one more thing. Oh, first of all, look at these jerseys. This jersey. This is the freshman jersey in 1978. It's not the number I wore, but somehow, I got away with a jersey and a helmet. You did wonders for me, Coach. I love you. I love you so much, Coach, and I wish you all the luck in the world. God bless you.
In 1977, Bubba and I were coaching in a small city league in Chickasaw, Alabama, 15 and under. The team from the Metro tournament that year advanced straight to the national tournament. So with about 2 weeks' notice, we put together a team of some of the better players from our league, and we entered the tournament. Well, we managed to win that tournament, much to the dismay of one team particularly that had already made the reservations for their hotel rooms in Tifton, Georgia. But we advanced on. So we took our little team and we went to Tifton, Georgia. The tournament was being held there because the host team was the Tifton Tomboys, which, as a side note, was one of the best collection of slow-pitch softball girl players ever assembled. And they managed to win 6 straight national championships, advancing from youth to the Women's Open without a glitch. So we arrived there, and they assigned us a practice field, and we practiced a couple of days. And then the first night when we got to the tournament, as we were standing around for our chance to play, Bubba decided that it would be prudent to initiate a chant of "We Want Tifton" among the girls, and which they all heartily took to, and so we chanted "We Want Tifton" for a few minutes, and we were very pleased with ourselves. Well, things did not necessarily go all our way, and we lost the first couple of games and had a good time, and we actually went and watched the Tomboys play one time, and it was quite impressive. So we went on and we came back to the house. Well, some people might have taken that as a sign that possibly it was a little tough to win a national championship, but not Bubba. Bubba went on and he coached some very fine players, and 14 years later in 1991, Bubba won an 18 and under ASA slow pitch national championship, which is quite an accomplishment. There's not a whole lot of people that are in that category. There are a lot of coaches out there that are really good at teaching their players the importance of striving to win. There are a lot of coaches out there that are very good at teaching the importance of sportsmanship. There are a select few coaches that manage to impart both of these values to their players. Tony Scarborough is one of those people. So I'm going to steal a quote here, just because I think it says it best. I'm going to borrow this from Bum Phillips, who is one of my most favorite coaches. And I'll say this: Tony Scarborough may not be in a class by himself as a coach, but it don't take long to call the roll.
Before he coached at Baker, Tony coached Combs Angels and Tony's Angels in Junior Olympic softball for 15 years, from 1977 to 1991. With a record of 1,005 and 256, and 17 Metro championships, 8 state championships, and 4 national championships.
I played in the mid-70s, yes, I'm dating myself, and we were the original Angels. We were your first team that you took to national finals in Athens, Georgia. I'll never forget that trip. We were actually the Bad News Bears, and you took this team and you made a team out of it, and not only just a team out there on the field, but we have some lifelong relationships that we still have today. You were the best of the best. You are the GOAT of all coaches. You didn't just let us get out there and play. You taught us the game. You taught us life lessons, and you were so dearly remembered and appreciated as being a great coach. Thank you for all the time that you spent away from your family and the time that you spent with so many players. I just want you to know that I hope you have the best of retirement. We know you're not going to stay off the field. That just doesn't happen with a coach. And I just thank you for everything that you've done and all the sacrifices that you made for so many people. Have a wonderful retirement.
Hey, Coach Tony, I cannot believe you are finally retiring after all these years. I know a lot of people will be missing you on the ball field. It started back for me back in 1981 at Municipal Park playing for Combs Painting. I remember you putting me on second base to play, and I had not a clue of what I was doing, but you taught me, and I think we turned out pretty good that year. For our first year of playing, we came in second. And I remember Mr. and Miss Combs gave us a party at Chuck E. Cheese and gave us all a trophy for second place. I was so thankful for that. It meant a lot to me. And then whenever Lisa Matthews moved up to the older group, you put me at first base, and I really had no clue what I was doing. I remember you telling me to put your right foot on the bag, put your right foot on the bag, and I never ever could do that. It felt more comfortable for me to use my left foot, and I did. I just only wish we could have won nationals, but you gave us a lot of great memories that I will always treasure and never forget. I love you, Coach Tony, and happy retirement to you.
Hello, my name is Charlotte Vaughn, better known as Chuck or Charlie, and I graduated from Madison Blunt High School in '89, and I went to Mobile College, which became the University of Mobile before I graduated. But I played with Coach Tony from the age of 13 to 18, which we were the little bubbles for the Combs Angels, and then we became Tony's Angels by the time I was a big bubble. But I love the competition that Coach Tony instilled in me, being humble. I mean, we beat almost everybody, but we were still humble at doing it. But anyways, I have always loved softball, but he really, when I went to high school, people always told me that no, softball is not where you gonna be. You need to play basketball or volleyball. But no, Coach Tony showed me that if that's what you want, go get it. And that's exactly what I did. And I really appreciate Coach Tony for making me a better person at what I was, and then making sure that I was a go-getter. I am always a go-getter, and I'm going to continue to be a go-getter. Thank you, Coach Tony.
I remember when my brother met you at Baker, you told him something along the lines of, I don't know if she's going to be good enough, talking about me. Well, of course, he brought that back home, and my daddy laughed. And they really didn't tell me right away, but they thought it was pretty funny. That was it. I went over and we played in a tournament, a women's tournament. And my dad swore you lost on purpose that first game. So we would have to stay longer. He didn't understand it, but he certainly accepted it. And then the rest is pretty much history. I think you yelled at me 2 times. Once for sliding in the first, I remember. And the second one, I hit a pop fly to the shortstop, and I'm thinking, no way she's going to miss this. And I carried my bat to first base. Hey, guess what? She missed it. So before I could get to first, you start yelling at me to throw my bat down. So I did, and I think that's the only 2 times you yelled at me. Probably the only coach that ever yelled at me was you, but, you know, I took it, and I appreciate it. I look forward to us being together again.
After teaching and coaching at several other schools, Shaw High School, Belsaw Middle School, Gautier Junior High School, and Alba High School, it was in 1986 that he accepted a position at Baker High School, where Tony taught math and coached the softball team until 2022. Tony has been a teacher for over 50 years, and 36 of those years were spent coaching the softball team at Baker. Tony took over a team that had never won more than 12 games in a season and transformed them into one that holds the Alabama state record and possibly the national record for most wins in a season with 79. Baker played slow pitch for the first 12 years of Tony's career there, finishing second in his 3rd season and then winning 3 consecutive state titles in 1991, 1992, and 1993.
Hey, Coach Tony. Congratulations on your retirement. I would like to congratulate you and Joyce on your future endeavors. You well deserve it. I want to tell you how much you mean to me and the impact you have done on many of our lives, not only myself, but as playing for you, all the hard work, dedication has made us into the women that we are today. I was personally on your slow pitch softball team from 1990 to 1992 with those state championships, and then further went on with Shelton State Community College, finished with a nursing degree, and pursued my registered nurse through Capstone at University of Alabama. No, I didn't play softball there, but it was definitely a point where I can say that I would have never had this opportunity if it had not been for the scholarship that I had gotten in the first place. So I really want to tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart. From the softball to the actual stress ball that we have in our life now, to the stethoscope and being in the healthcare field, I personally went on to pursue my higher education with my nurse practitioner through Auburn University, and I do feel like to this day I had not had the opportunity as being pushed as a child or a young adult in softball. I feel like I probably would not have been able to push myself hard enough to pursue that master's degree at Auburn University and finishing my nurse practitioner. I want to personally thank you from the bottom of my heart that you truly are a legend, whether you know it or not, or whether you believe it or not. Very, very much appreciate everything that you've done for me. I want to tell you one funny part, and I think a lot of people already know this story, but when you had told me to actually go to the corner of Baker Gymnasium and actually sit me down and tell me not to come back and play softball, I was bound and determined that I was going to play for you regardless of what you told me to do. So I sat there, and you know the rest of the story. That was in 7th grade, and I was just, a junior. So it was quite an honor to be a junior, or not even a junior, and actually playing on a varsity team. I personally, again, want to thank you and appreciate everything that you've done in my life. Congratulations. Thank you a lot. And in your future endeavors, if it's in the softball field or teaching, whatever you do, always do 100 or 120%, just like you told us. Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.
I played for the Baker Honeybees under Coach Scarborough from 91 to 95. Primarily pitched, but, as any player would know, you have to be able to play anywhere. Coach not only taught us respect, how to treat other players, how to respect the other teams, but also endurance, trust. Coach not only taught us how to play softball, but he taught us how to treat other players, treat the coaches, other teams, loyalty, among other things that we all carry with us today. I'll never forget the time we were out of town at a softball tournament, I think in Enterprise, Alabama. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. Hit a ball, rounded first base, took off to second, and I don't know what happened, but I hit the ground and tore everything up in my ankle, and Coach came out there and made sure I was okay and said, why couldn't I still keep my hand on the base and be safe? We both kind of chuckled, and I got carried off the field, but it was a good choke. It was an honor to play and be known as a Honeybee and to play under Coach, as well known as he is and was and always will be in the softball world, coaching world, all over. And to play for somebody that's been inducted into the Hall of Fame says a lot. So thank you, Coach, for taking the time and spending with me, everybody I played with, everybody before me and after me, and anybody that will from here on out. So congratulations on your coaching career, and we love you lots.
Baker switched to fast pitch in 1999 and won state titles in 2003, 2005, 2007, and 2015.
We went fast pitch in 1999, and most of the kids then had come up playing slow pitch. Now in the Birmingham area, I don't think we ever had slow pitch, but when I had the Tony's Angels in their summer, Birmingham never sent a team to the tournament because they didn't have slow pitch. But now we're getting kids in Mobile that they don't know what slow pitch is. They've grown up playing the fast pitch game, and the level of competition is getting better throughout the state. And because the kids have more experience and it's their basic game, they played it their entire life, and the ability level just keeps going up from year to year.
I am a Honeybee class of 1999. My senior year was the year that Baker softball transitioned from slow pitch to fast pitch. We were the year that gave Coach his first losing season. We lost multiple games in the last inning by 1 run because he always told us to choose visitor. And I know there's a life lesson in there somewhere. I'm not sure what it is because to this day I'm still trying to figure out why. Michael and Meek and I were the only seniors that year, and at our senior banquet he told us that we were the foundation for Baker Honeybee fast pitch softball. Strange to think about that now because in all actuality Coach was the start of my foundation for my life, and being a Honeybee under his coaching taught me work ethic, dedication. It stirred up my competitiveness, taught me not to settle, to always be prepared, to arrive early and stay late, to have a fear of flagpoles and anyone who wanted to meet me there. His teaching and coaching started my foundation for my life, and for that I'm grateful. Plus, I'm the one now that gives everyone and everything a nickname. Wonder where I learned that from. Just want to say congrats, Coach, on your 50 years. And I know you know a good writer, so it's time to put some of your stories from the last 50 years into a book. And remember to never miss first.
Hey, Coach. It's me, April May. I wanted to take a few moments and thank you for all that you've done for me, both as an athlete and as an adult, because a lot of what you taught us really has translated into my adult life. First, I want to thank you as a Hornet. I played basketball with you for 6 years, and I appreciate you for not letting me quit after 7th grade. I really just didn't think I was very good at basketball, but you saw something in me that really sparked your interest, and you saw where I could go before even I did, and you helped work with me on accuracy. I could run really fast, but I couldn't dribble the ball at the same time, or I could throw the ball really far, but I wasn't very accurate. But you really pushed me and taught me not to give up, and that just because something might be a little bit hard and I may not be as good at it right now doesn't mean that with a little work I couldn't be better at it later. So your practice makes perfect practice really does resonate with me in all facets of life. You're not just going to be really good at everything, but you can be good at something if you just put a little bit more effort into it and try just a little bit harder. As a Honeybee, I really feel like my impact was greater with you. You know, there's a lot of younger girls that got to see a side of you that we never got to see, but I don't know that the impact you had on my life would have been as great if that was the coach you were for us. You pushed us in the way that I needed to be pushed. I needed you in my face telling me what I needed to do. While sometimes I also met that with an in-your-face response, I realized in my adult life that wasn't very respectful. So, you know, all those times I thought I was right. I might have been right some of those times, but that wasn't the way that I should have presented myself. So thinking back on that, how you helped me and how I would like for people to respond to me, that really resonated with me and my responses, and I've worked on that. The two biggest things in softball, though, that I really want to talk to you about and thank you for is phrases. I don't even know if you made them up or if they were real, but they're real to me, and that's a tweener and daylight with a lead. So a tweener, right, is a ball that, you know, falls between infield and outfield. It's between. You know, who's going to get it? Who's going to go for the tweener? And then daylight with a lead is, you know, waiting for the ball to leave the pitcher's hand before you leave the base. And it's really paying attention. So In softball, those two things, it's being aggressive, going after that ball as an outfielder. And then as a runner, it's really paying attention to your pitcher and the situation at hand. But in normal life, my adult life, those things have way more meaning for me. A tweener to me is an opportunity. And how you respond to that opportunity is going to depend on the outcome. So if you try really hard and go after that opportunity, you can make a really great play. And you can have people really cheering for you, rooting you on. But it's all about the effort that you put into it. Sometimes opportunities fall through. Sometimes you don't quite catch it. But if you tried for it and you know that you tried really hard, then your efforts don't go unnoticed. And the daylight with the lead, patience. That one thing I just don't have, and I have patience tattooed on the back of my neck because I just don't have any. It's really paying attention to the situation and waiting for the right moment. Sometimes it can be really hard to wait for those moments because you want it now and you want to just leave. In softball, it's not baseball. You can't get that big lead and then run to the next base. You've really got to sit back and you've got to wait for that right moment, that moment when the light just shines through and you know that you're allowed to move forward. That's what daylight with a lead is for me in my adult life, is paying attention to those opportunities and those moments. I don't know if you meant to do that or if it was just happenstance, but there's a lot that you've taught your athletes that really, really play into their everyday lives more than you will ever know. Yelling out a 44-5, people think it's really funny. They'll make fun of us when we were out there, but we were always in the right place at the right time. You were really good at positioning us and putting us where we needed to be, and then teaching us how to pay attention to where we needed to be. And that really is a big deal. I think of those little things, when I work out and I'm running, did I make the team? Did I run a fast mile? Am I doing good? When I want to give up, I think about you yelling at me and telling me, push just a little bit harder. You have just a little bit more. When I feel like I, can't quite get something just right in a workout, I do one more set. I do one more round. I do one more rotation. So I do think about you quite often, Coach. And I know that you haven't retired, but you are moving on to different things. Softball will never be the same without you. But like I've said in my post, and I've told people, you're not gone. You are an institution in this sport, and you mean a lot to a lot of people. Don't change who you are, but continue to be yourself and mold with the times. That's something you're really good at. You have been a pinnacle and been able to coach softball, basketball, other sports for 50 years. That says a lot, because you changed with who the athletes were and coached them how they needed to be coached. You didn't just continue to coach the way you thought was right, but you did, because the way you thought was right was to coach the athlete the way they needed to be coached. So I appreciate you for coaching me that way and being the person that you are. Don't ever stop being you. We all love you just for who you are. And I just wanted to say thank you. Always a honeybee and a hornet.
I heard that you are retiring and wanted to stop and say congratulations. I am so honored that I was a part of your legacy. I got to play for, some people say one of the best, but I will say the best softball coach in the world. And I am so grateful that you taught us how to play ball the way that you did. I wish you all the luck in your retirement, and I hope you get much needed rest. Like I said, just thank you so very much.
I played for Coach Scarborough from 03 to 05. Coach, I'm so thankful for the opportunity that I had to play for you at Baker. Winning a state championship in 05 is a memory that I'll never forget. I'm actually the head softball coach at Coastal Alabama South over in Bay Minette, and I wouldn't be here without you, Coach, and the work ethic that you taught me. And it was an absolute honor and a privilege to play under you. I wish you the best in your retirement, and you taught me so much about life and just always instilled positive things into every player that you coached, and I just couldn't thank you enough.
We were Honeybees from 2001 to 2005 and state champs in 2003 and 2005. Here's our rings.
I wrote a little something. My first experience with Coach Scarborough was watching my older sister Lisa play as a varsity honeybee. I was probably 10 years old. Me and my mom were on the sidelines, and he got fired up about a bad call, and I was like, oh, I'm not playing for this man. It's just not gonna happen. At that time, I never would have thought that I would one day have the greatest times of my life, being a Baker Honeybee with him as my coach. Our closest friends to this day were formed on that team. He taught us skills that we have carried throughout our schooling, career, and life. He expected respect, discipline, strong work ethic, and good time management, and we gladly gave all of these because he earned it. I went on to play softball in college while earning my nursing degree. I continue to move forward in my career using the skills Coach Scarborough taught. The time and passion that he put into the sport and into us as players cannot be repaid. We can never thank him enough for the priceless gifts and lessons we learned with him as a coach.
I knew Coach Tony because he would always come out and umpire the games when I was at Softball City. I had not known him as long as she did, and so I was not upset or scared. I could not wait to be a Baker Honeybee. All my friends went to Baker and I went to Phillips, and finally in high school I made it over to be a Baker Honeybee, and I started on varsity as a freshman. We all did, and we grew up together at very young all the way up on the softball team, and he taught us so many lessons. If you saw him, some people would think you were scared out of him because he was yelling at us, and half the time it was usually some kind of signal or something like that. And so, I mean, he was a lot of fun to play for. The main thing he taught me is to be prepared, and I feel like that taken me through life. And you know, I went on to college to play as well, and I ended up graduating from South. And it's really everything he's taught us has helped us in our careers, and most of us are leaders or, you know, in some sort of, you know, leadership and independent role. And, you know, most of that goes back to what he taught us. And, you know, we can never ever thank him enough for everything he's done.
We will leave you with "We love you, Coach," and "Sacre Bleu."
I had the absolute honor and pleasure of playing for Coach Scarborough on the Baker Honeybees from the time I was in the 7th grade till I graduated high school in 2005. And Coach, I've been sitting here thinking about what I wanted to tell you, but there's just so much to say in such a short amount of time. But I want you to know, number one, how much I love you and how much my family loves you. Thank you for being of service for all of these years. And number two, I want you to know how grateful I am for you. The things that you have done for girls sports is just completely unbelievable. Thank you so much for being a competitor, a true competitor. And thank you for keeping your expectations high. You know, keeping your standards high. Thank you for pushing us to be our best, and thank you for believing in us. I gained so much confidence playing softball for you. That helps me day to day. You taught us about respect. You taught us about hard work. You taught us about being resilient and facing adversity. All of those things are so special, Coach. You're a very special person. And you know, you're not for everybody, and that's all right. You have to be a true competitor to understand Coach. And I want you to know just how much I love you, and I want to thank your family. Thank you so much for sharing him with us. He's a true treasure. He really, really is. The game will not be the same without you, but the good news is you've inspired so many girls who also love this game that they're out there carrying on your legacy. It's amazing. You're amazing. Thank you for everything. We'll meet you at the pole any day, Coach. Go Honeybees.
Played for Coach from my 7th grade year to my senior year, and I graduated in 2007. And I was lucky enough to get to be a part of a team that won 3 state championships in 2005, 2007, and 2003. It was so much fun and some of the greatest memories of my life that I will absolutely never forget. And we were able to accomplish those wins because Coach was super dedicated, and we had the most efficient, effective practices that anyone could ever do. And we got to play as many games as possible to prepare us for the end of the season championships, and it all worked out, and they're such special memories. I wanted to bring up something that Coach said at the beginning of a season, early in my softball playing days with Coach. If you're out here to play for Baker and be a Honeybee, and you think you know it all, and you feel like you don't have any something else to learn, that this wasn't the team for you, and that, you know, there's always something to learn, there's always room to grow. And, you know, I've always remembered that plays in my head often throughout my life, and I just wanted him to know that. I think it's a really great lesson and something important to learn young in life. But, Coach, I love you. I'm thankful for you. I'm proud of you. You should be proud of yourself. I hope you enjoy all these testimonies from all the people that love and have been positively affected by you our whole lives. And I want to give a shout out to his entire family for sharing him with so many people. All right. Thanks.
Hey, I'm Tara and Kelsey's dad, Stevie. Coach remembers the Hitton game, and we won 3 state championships.
Where to start? Not real sure where to start with Coach Scarborough. He's taught me so much throughout my softball career, throughout my coaching career. I've had the pleasure of playing for him from the time I was 8 all the way through 18, and now I've been able to coach with him for the past 3 years. He's taught me more than the game, created a very mental aspect in my softball life. I wouldn't trade it for anything. He's definitely been the best thing that's happened for my softball career.
Gas one more, baby. Gas one more.
2 strikes, Casey. 2 strikes.
I'm LaGaylis Harbuck, speaking on behalf of Megan Harbuck. What do you say about Coach Scarborough? The man, the legend, the end of the era, the Baker Honeybees. They're known throughout Alabama and the South because of Coach Scarborough and his dedication. He lived softball, and so did my daughter Megan Harbuck, and she was so glad that she finally found someone who was as sold out as she was about softball. She played for him 5 years. She was a member of 3 of his state titles that he won, the championship of his 4. And he was like a daddy to her. He coached her as a player, as a coach, throughout life. She always stayed close to him and looked to him for advice, and he gave it to her, and I thank God for that. He showed up to speak at her banquet when she became a coach, and he showed up to speak at her funeral when God called her home. She loved Coach Scarborough, and he loved her. Thank you, Coach Scarborough, for being there for her and our whole family, and for being what every coach would dream to be, victorious on and off the field, and there for your players. And may God bless you in whatever avenue you decide to go in your retirement and your future endeavors. And just thank you for being the man you are.
From the class of 2008, former Baker Honeybee, former coach's assistant coach, and forever coach's biggest fan. When I think about Coach Scarborough and what he's meant to me and what he's meant to softball, not just at Baker, but in the entire state of Alabama, there's 3 words that really jump out to me. And those 3 words are winner, dedicated, and love. Coach is arguably the most winningest coach in the state of Alabama, and rightfully so. He took a slow pitch program that had never had a winning season, I think had never won more than like 10 games, turns around, wins 3 state championships back in the 90s. He reluctantly moved to fast pitch because he does love slow pitch more. He's told me that on numerous occasions. I think if he's told me once, he's told me 1,000 times. Slow pitch is the ultimate team game, Jenny Laird. And I have not forgotten it. I'm jealous that I didn't get to play slow pitch for him. He then won 4 state championships in fast pitch softball, absolutely unheard of. 03, 05, 07, 15.
we were going to play as many games as we could, and I'd be darned, the state came in and said, we're enacting this Tony Scarborough rule. We're going to limit the amount of tournaments that you can play, and that way they could get a rein on us. I think Coach was trying to hit 100. I'm pretty sure we hit 88, if I'm not mistaken. Coach, I know you're the numbers guy. I know you'll know that off the top of your head. But guys, we like to play. And Coach always said the best practice is to get out there and do it and play. And so that's why we played so many games. When we were going out there and competing, we were winning most of our games. And a lot of that had to do with Coach putting us in the best position to win. We weren't necessarily always the best, but I definitely think that we were always Coach the best. And Coach was never gonna do anything that he didn't see right for the team, and he's always going to put the team above everything else. And so his record in high school softball is unheard of. It's unheard of. The numbers, I mean, he put together this career that I don't know of anyone in the state that's going to be able to duplicate or even come close to duplicating what he did. And I think that's just a testament to the kind of person he is. Coach is a competitor himself. If you ever play him in My Boat Carries, you'll know. Okay, the man likes to win. Coach has spent his entire adult life dedicating nothing but his time, energy, and effort to high school softball. And in the last 36 years, he has dedicated his entire life to the Baker Honeybees. And that's a lot more than most people can say right there in itself, even if he was just going and doing the absolute bare minimum, which we know is absolutely false. I don't think I realized until I started working with Coach how much time and energy and effort he puts in outside of just the regular practice time. There's a lot of coaches that just go home and they forget about it, and it's like, okay, we're going to show up tomorrow and we'll do who knows what we'll do. We'll figure it out when we get there. Not Coach. All right, Coach is going to spend hours at night losing sleep, writing practice schedules, and coming up with different ideas and nominating his players for all different kinds of awards, always putting his players before himself. And we know Coach's attention to detail. He said it before. That's why he keeps the book at third base, because he wants to have accurate stats. That way he can, again, put his team in the best position to win possible. Coach is also, and I'm sure most of you are aware, he's pretty big on like practice schedules. And when I tell you that I literally hang on to every word that Coach says and everything he thinks is important, I think is important. I managed to collect quite the little binder here of practice schedules that are ranging from 2005 to 2018. This was my freshman year until the last year that I coached under Coach. And you can see, like, there is not one detail left untouched in this notebook. Some of them did have to fold because they got sweaty at practice. Everything that Coach says, there's a reason for it. That Coach is never going to do something for no reason. Everything he's going to do is going to have a reason behind it. There's a method to the madness. Always has been, always will be. If you're not going to take a good rep, why take a rep? And Coach isn't going to make you do something that's not going to make the team better. What he has done is astronomical in the big scheme of things. Like, what he has done and what he's devoted to high school softball, I just don't think it can ever be touched by anybody else. Now, there are some of us that are going to darn sure try to give our kids the experience that he gave us, and I think that's why you see so many of us coaching now that played under Coach Scarborough, is because we saw that relationship that he created with us. And we want that for ourselves. Like, we want to be on the giving end of that. And I think it's because Coach has just continuously, for a long time, just poured into other people. And I think you're starting to see it come full circle here, because there's so many of us that want to emulate Coach. You know, we want to be like Coach Scarborough because Coach Scarborough is the best. If he wasn't so dedicated and he didn't devote so much time to us and maybe take away from other things that he could be doing, you know, who knows what we'd be doing. I know for sure that I chose the career I did because of Coach Scarborough, and for that I'm forever thankful. You don't get coaches like Coach very often. I'm just so blessed and so thankful to have had you in my life, Coach, and I would not have wanted it any other way. Coach, this last one is really just a message from me. The reason I think about the word love when I think about your name is just because I love you so much. And I know you know that because I tell you every time we talk on the phone, but I do love you, and I hope you know that I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I love you. You know I've always been one of your biggest fans. I will continue to be one of your biggest fans and biggest supporters. Congrats, Coach, on a fantastic career at Baker High School. I'm even more excited to see what this next adventure is going to hold for you. I'm excited to be back on the red dirt with you, and I cannot wait to see your 2000th win. I love you, Coach.
I am a former honeybee of Coach Tony Scarborough. What can I say about Mr. Tony Scarborough? And he was my first ever softball coach when I did start playing around 5 or 6 years old. And then as I got to middle school, I started playing from 2003, which was my 8th grade year, to when I graduated in 2009. Mr. Scarborough has been my favorite all-time coach, even with former coaches when playing in junior college and also in Division I college as well. I will say he has been my top favorite coaches of all time. I don't think any coach could ever top him. What I loved about him, he was, even though he seemed a little stern at times and some people got a little intimidated about him, it never stopped me. I liked the structure type of thing. I always admired him. I loved coming in to practice and games and stuff. He was always very motivating, always had some sort of strategy of what he wanted to do when it comes to games every single time. I loved, even when he was coaching, I loved when he was always sitting down and telling us life stories about what he did, his Army stories. I remember his boxing stories. I remember his prom story that he gave to us before we went to prom. I think that was the funniest story I've ever heard, which also helped us out. I mean, I do remember one time when it was actually my junior year in high school in 2008. He told us the prom story. We went to prom, and then we actually had a tournament, I believe, I think it was in Satsuma the next day. We had the younger girls play that night while all of us older folks went to prom. And I remember the next morning I was super exhausted from partying all night at prom. And the next day I had, I believe it was like a 15-17 at bat or something like that. And he promoted it, the next day at school, which was pretty cool. And that's one thing I loved about, even if it wasn't about softball, I loved it when we were listening to his reports of each sport the next morning. He was very, very animated, which made him very, very lovable. He's still very lovable. I mean, what else can you say about a man that has been coaching for so long? I mean, he has so many people that have came back and worked for him. But what I can say is he, hands down, will always be he will always have a place in my heart. And I love him dearly, and I love his family. I love his wife. I love that man. He will be my favorite. He was like a father to me. Thank you, Coach, for everything. I love you. I always will. Thank you.
I played softball for Coach Scarborough at Baker High School. I graduated in 2010. During that time, I was lucky enough to be a part of the 2007 state championship team. There's not enough time to really explain how influential Coach Scarborough was to me, and I know to everyone I played with during that time, from middle school to the year I graduated. He just meant so much to everyone, and I don't think we realized it at the time. And he had this way of getting the most out of his players that were really dedicated to him and what he was trying to do. He just spent so much time and energy putting just everything into us, from just the schedules he made for practice every day. I mean, they were so detailed and thought out. There were things on it that were so small that if you didn't take the time to read it, really, then you were gonna miss it. But it was just all in the details, and that's something that he was trying to teach us, just to be prepared and work hard and pay attention to little things, and just that the little things matter, especially in softball. But you know, I think he was trying to translate that over into our lives, which he very much did. I went on to play softball at the University of Mobile for college, and I felt so prepared in a way, leaving Baker High School, leaving that legacy. And I know that I wasn't prepared for some things in college, but just mental toughness and just being the best person you can be, and being honest and doing the right thing when no one else is watching, and working hard when no one is watching, and just being a good person. Those were just things that he was trying to get out of us. And I felt prepared in that way for college. He was tough. He was really hard to play for. He ran us and ran us and ran us. And I mean, we were out there for hours after school practicing, but I felt like I had given everything I could give, and I felt like he just got the best out of me during that time. And those hard days, there was a reason for them. He had a reason for everything he did. No matter if we understood it at the time or not, it didn't matter. He had us committed, and he had a way of doing that, just committing to him. Nothing felt better than pulling through in some way, whether it was a little thing or a big thing that you did for the team, and him giving you a big hug or something. Nothing felt better than getting that from him, because he worked so hard for us, and to feel validated by him. I don't know, it felt great. You wanted to make him proud. I wanted to make him proud the whole time I was there, and I just hope that I've made him proud, you know, after, since I've graduated. I love him so much. And Coach Scarborough, you don't know the influence you've had on me and so many girls, whether it's basketball, softball, in some way, you've been such a huge influence, and I love you. And I'm just over the moon proud to have spent, the hours I did on the same field as you. It's sad because the girls coming won't know how amazing that is. And I hope I've made you proud. And no one will forget just the impact you've made in this community. No one else will understand it but us, and the coaches and adults and parents and kids who have had the opportunity to be around you and be coached by you and share the same field as you. Thank you for everything you've done. I'm so blessed and honored, and congratulations on your retirement.
Hey, my name is Rachel Vincent. I'm a former Honeybee and Lady Hornet. I played basketball and softball for Coach at Baker High School from 2009 to 2012. And I think the way that Coach has most affected my life is through my work ethic and my ability to persevere, and my ability to show up anywhere 30 minutes early in fear of being late. You know, I played for Coach for most of my life, but the most influential years was from 14 to 18, so my freshman into my senior year. And you know, just being a two-sport athlete for him, I played for him year-round, you know, basketball in the fall, softball in the spring, all the workouts and conditionings in between. I was just consistently and constantly exposed to his coaching and his teaching and his mentality. And, you know, he's a no BS guy. You show up, you know, every day and you give 110%. You show up on time, ready to go, whether that's games, whether that's practice, there's no excuses. And, you know, that constant accountability, responsibility, and discipline, you know, for my 4 years with him, I feel like that really shaped me into the person that I am today. And it's helped me, you know, excel in my career, become a better human being. It's made me a more responsible adult. And I know for a fact that I would not be the person that I am today had I not been one of his players. And, you know, I'm just one of probably 1,000 people who feel that way and who've, you know, been impacted by him and all the good that he's done throughout his career. And, you know, he has just been phenomenal. And when he retires and when he leaves the game, you know, he's going to be remembered as a phenomenal coach who's leaving an amazing legacy. But personally, I think that he is an even better person, an even better human being, and he's going to continue to impact people in a positive way for as long as he decides to coach the game. And, you know, I'm just so thankful that I got to be a part of the organization, and I got to be coached under his wing for as long as I did. Like I said, I think I'm a better person because of it. And I miss him dearly. I love him. You know, I am for always and forever will be a Honeybee. I love you, Coach.
I was a former Honeybee from 2008 to 2014. And it's definitely a time that I'll never forget. There's a lot of people that know Coach Scarborough and know who he is and what he does. And two things that I remember so strongly about him during my time of playing with him was just the example that he set of how to be exactly who you are. He was never scared of anybody watching him, what he was doing. He would always be exactly who he was, never afraid of people judging him or anything like that. And so I think that is just a great example for young girls, and I truly appreciate it. Some of those examples being all the catchphrases that he had and the endless amount of cowboy hats that he wore and the long socks and all, and that's just all of who he is, and he was never afraid to be who he was, and that is just something that I admired so greatly, which of course I didn't realize at the time because you're a young girl and you're just trying to make it through high school and middle school. But as I've reflected back on that time, I just really appreciate the great example that he set before me, even though I didn't even know. The second biggest thing that I learned is that it doesn't matter what kind of jersey you have, whether it's been used 40,000 times before you got it, what kind of equipment you have, what kind of facilities you have or don't have, that all that really matters is your desire to win and your ability to push forward through adversity. And I think Coach Scarborough definitely taught me that in my time there. He has just had such a long career, as everybody knows. It's no secret, and his character speaks for itself, but just the impact that it made on me in that time was one that is kind of hard to put into words. That's why I'm struggling a bit here, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Thank you so much, Coach Scarborough, for all the lives that you've impacted, one of them being mine. And I hope you thoroughly enjoy your retirement, which we all know that you're not going to get off the field anytime soon. But I thank you for all that you've done for me, and I thank you for all that you're going to do for future generations.
My name is Lacey Beausarge, formerly Lacey Summerlin. I played for Coach from 2009 until 2015. I was a part of his most recent state champion team. Coach Scarborough is an incredible man with incredible integrity and incredible character. Because of that, it's made me a much better human. I've learned so much from him that I still recall on to this day. I learned so many life lessons outside of softball just by watching the things that he does, listening to the things that he says, watching how he reacts to certain situations. And those are the things that at the time when I was in high school, I didn't know that I was learning. But now that I'm out in the real world and I also am coaching high school softball, I find myself falling back on the things that Coach Scarborough would have done or Coach Scarborough would have said or how Coach Scarborough would have handled that situation. And it's made me a better person. It's made me a better coach. He instilled so much confidence in me as a player to help me be successful at the collegiate level. But it also made me confident to be the woman that I am. And Coach Scarborough, like I said, half those things he doesn't even realize that he does it. It's just the integrity and the character that he exudes day in and day out that rubs off on anybody who's around him. The softball community in Mobile, Alabama would not be the community that it is if it wasn't for Coach Scarborough. Whether you played for him like I did, you played against him, you coached against him, you coached with him, you taught with him, whatever it may be, you know the incredible man that he is. And at some point, he has brought positivity into your life that so many people I know are grateful for. I wish Coach Scarborough a very, very happy retirement. The softball community is and will not be the same without him. But I know that he deserves this very much. There's not a Hall of Fame big enough for him and all that he has accomplished in his coaching career. But I know he's excited to spend all this time with Miss Joyce, Toyce as he calls her. That's one of the things I admired about him in high school. He always talked about her and how much he loved her. And it made me strive to find something like that in my life. So I know that he's going to be very happy with the time he gets to spend with her. I love him very much, and I'm so very thankful for him. Congrats on retirement, Coach.
Hey, Coach Scarborough. It's Vic or Vicchio or Big Poppy or whatever you want to call me these days. Happy retirement. I cannot believe it's happening. I don't think anyone can. But I just want to congratulate you on an amazing career, and I'm so happy I got to be one of your honeybees. And I look back and I'm so thankful. You prepared me for life and college softball more than any other coach has. And I mean, you taught me so many things, like how to take constructive criticism, how to hold myself accountable, how to hold others accountable. You taught me how to work so hard for something you love, and it will pay off. And you don't really know what it's going to look like, but it'll pay off. And I mean, no one shows that better than you. You've worked so hard, and you've had such an honorable and successful career, and I'm so proud of you, and I support you in every single way, no matter what. And I look back, and my favorite memory will always be winning that state championship my freshman year in 2015. And that year, I remember, was so chaotic, and you pushed us so hard, and we really didn't understand. But there's not a year that taught me more and had more reward, that was more rewarding than that year. And I'm so proud to have been a part of that. I'm so proud to have been one of your honeybees. And you still impact me to this day. You're the reason I've worn number 34 the last 4 years of my college career, because you always call me Big Poppy. And I thank you so much, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud to be able to call myself a honeybee. I love you, Coach. Happy retirement.
Hey, my name is Caitlin McCree, and I graduated from Baker High School in 2019. I was blessed to have 6 years with Coach, 2 of them being at Causey Middle School whenever we would come over and practice at the high school field, and 4 of them being at the high school with Coach. During my years with Coach Scarborough, he taught me many things that sometimes he didn't even know he was teaching us, myself and my teammates. Things like leadership, determination, work ethic, integrity. He believed in you every step of the way, and because he loved you, because he was like a dad to us all. And he would make the funniest jokes and just things you'd be like, Coach, what? I enjoyed every second of my time at Baker and at Causey with him and under his leadership. And I just loved his determination and love for the game. He instilled that in me, and I am going to, and I have been carrying that throughout my life and my softball career at Coast Alabama Community College and Bay Minette, and now at UM. They are characteristics that I hope every girl in the softball world learns, but I know that those characteristics and qualities have been taught to every single girl that Coach Scarborough has coached or mentored, because he represents them every day in and day out, whether he knows he's teaching them or not. And I'm just so appreciative of him and being able to be coached under him. And it's something a lot of girls get to say, that they played for him, and a lot of girls don't, and I'm just blessed to be one of them that played for him. And I love you, Coach.
Hey Coach, it is Big Hutch here. I'm here in Gulfport, Mississippi with my team. We just finished up warming up for our 8 a.m. game, but before Tessa gets too mad at me, I wanted to go ahead and say that I appreciate all that you have done for me as a player, for pushing me past what I thought my limits were, and for teaching me more than just the game but life lessons as well. I wish you best of luck with what you do next. I know you will continue to do great things. You will always be my favorite, but I gotta go, so I love you, Coach.
Love you, Coach. I am a former honeybee of 6 years. Playing for Coach Scarborough has by far been the highlight of my entire life so far. I knew each and every day that when I went out to practice or a game day, he wanted my best, and he was going to push me to be my best no matter what. And for that, I'm so thankful, and without Coach Scarborough, I don't know where I would be today. He never failed to believe in me 100%, even on my very, very, very bad days. And he was so confident in me all the time. He made sure that I knew that I could do it, that whatever was in the past was in the past. And for that, I'm so thankful for him. Him even pushing us each and every day out at the practice field has made me overcome so many obstacles. Just the mental toughness that he builds into you the minute you step foot. His program is phenomenal. His knowledge for the game beats everybody's by far that I've ever met. But mainly for Coach Scarborough, I'm so thankful that I ever got to play for him and, have him in my life. A funny story about Coach Scarborough. It was my 8th grade year, and I will never forget it. We were playing in Huntsville in the Bob Jones tournament, and it was my very first varsity game ever. Me, Delaney, and Mary Hannah had gotten there super late along with everybody else because the traffic was bad. And we were 20 minutes from the start time of the game, and Coach Scarborough comes up to me and was like, "Hey Murph, you're starting." And here I am as an 8th grader, super nervous, super scared, because it was my very first varsity game ever. But then in that moment, he knew I was scared, and he told me 1,000 times before the game, like, "I believe in you, you got it, I trust you." It didn't matter if we lost the game 10-0. The next day at practice, he would tell us, "I believe in y'all. You just got to work, we'll be all right." Still to this day, I'm still learning from him. And in the back of my mind, I always say, well, Coach Scarborough would tell me this or Coach Scarborough would tell me that. But for that, I'm very thankful for him.
Hey, Coachy. I honestly don't know where to start, but here it goes. I am forever grateful for your investment in my life, and I thank you for the time, dedication, and heart you give into coaching me each and every day. I have forever wanted to play for you, and I'm not gonna lie, you have been my idol ever since I started playing. And as time rolled around, it was finally time as my little 6th grade self to try out for Causey's 6th grade softball team. But as soon as I knew I was going to have the chance to play for the Tony Scarborough, I knew the sky was the limit with a coach like him. I consider myself fortunate to be able to learn from you and your experiences, and having you as my coach has helped me realize what I need to do to be successful not only in sports, but in life. Thank you for seeing and bringing out the best in me. It's been an amazing experience from beginning to end. You have influenced my life for the better. And even though great coaches are hard to find, I am so thankful to have found one in you. I love you, Coach.
Tony was named Coach of the Year for softball by the National High School Coaches Association in 2007. As of his leaving in 2022, his overall record for softball at Baker is 1,694 and 524. As a member of the AHSAA Softball Coaches Committee, Scarborough played a key role in developing the popular regional state softball playoff format used by the AHSAA. He was inducted into the Mobile Softball Hall of Fame in 1992. He founded the Mobile Youth Umpires Association and served as a director for 7 years. And he was inducted into the AHSAA Hall of Fame in 2017.
If you keep working, you get better. Please welcome to the Alabama High School Sports Hall of Fame, Coach Tony Scarborough.
The official mascot of Baker High School is actually a hornet. At most schools, female sports teams are usually the lady version of their school's mascot, but the Baker Honeybees are an exception. Coach Scarborough didn't believe his softball team should have to be the Lady Hornets, as if the boys' team were somehow the default. Instead, he chose for the team to be known as the Baker Honeybees, a unique feminine name that was still similar to the school's actual mascot. For a few years, the team wasn't allowed to be officially known as the Honeybees and had jerseys with no names printed on them. Fortunately, Coach Scarborough fought for the team name, and all these years later, everyone knows the name Baker Honeybees.
But when I first got there, Baker was the Hornets. The Lady Hornets just didn't seem real, so we went with Honeybees, and the kids loved it, and it stuck. But we'll go to a tournament. Are the boys the Honeybees? I said, no, it's just the girls softball.
Tony works constantly to get equal recognition and opportunities for female athletes in a world that is still male-dominated. And although he played football himself at the semi-pro level and lives in a state that believes God created football on the seventh day, Tony has passed on more than one opportunity to coach varsity football because it would have meant giving up softball.
You know, I've coached a lot of boys sports, football, baseball, basketball, some track. I got into girls softball. It just seemed like they were kind of like, well, just get those girls out of the way and just go, take care of that. But they were just kind of getting the short end of the stick, and I just wanted them to realize that they were also important.
My name is Coach Snow. I have the distinction of being Coach's longest lasting assistant from 2007 to 2020. I worked with Coach, but I did not start out working with Coach. I started out coaching against Coach. And most people didn't get that unique perspective who worked with him. When I first started coaching, I coached at Davidson, and we played Baker several times during the year. And it just always amazed me how well organized and complete he had his teams prepared to play. And to be honest, it made me a little jealous and envious that he had such great control over his entire program. After staying there at Davidson for a while, I got the opportunity to move and actually coach with Coach Scarborough. and I jumped at the opportunity. People don't understand the level and the depth at which he is dedicated to the sport of softball. And to watch him coach and mentor to these young ladies was truly an inspiration to me. I lost my father before I came to work with Coach, and being with him was like having another father figure that I could always turn to and talk to and ask his advice. I learned more about coaching and dealing with other people in the time I was with Coach than any other time in my whole career, whether it was teaching in the military or whatever. The amount of respect and love I have for him, you can't really express, because of all the people I've ever met, there's no one quite like Coach Scarborough. And people would often go back and say that they would change things if they had a chance to do them again. I would not change anything from the entire time that I worked with you, Coach. My one goal was to strive to stay with you until you went out on your own terms, and I was going to go with you. Of course, life always throws us curveballs, and it didn't quite work out that way. No matter how long you do it, I know you'll be successful. Love you, Coach. It was great working with you. Thanks.
Hello, Tony. How you doing? Nickname for Tony is Super Coach. I don't know how he does it year-round, coaching all sports. I hate to guesstimate how many years he's been coaching. Great competitor. I'd always joke with him about he'd let me win in basketball, I'd let him win in softball. I was fortunate enough, we coached together park ball, West Mobile, many years ago. One of the funny stories I have coaching with Tony, or coaching against Tony, we were at a Daphne tournament. It's probably my first year coaching fast pitch. My player, I was third base coach, my player got hit by a pitch. The umpire would not let her go to first, made her stay in the box. So I went over there and explained the rules to him, and after conversation, I finally got fed up with him, and I told him, I said, well, if you don't know the rules, Tony knows the rules. So he stops the game again, hollers, tells Tony to come down there, and Tony's taking his great stats with his notebook. He walks up and he tells both of us, if I hear another word out of either one of you, you're both gone. I would like to say, I just love the competitive spirit of Tony, and God bless.
I wanted to congratulate you on your career. I knew you had been coaching softball for 36 years, but teaching for over 50 years, that's just unbelievable. That's just amazing. And, people like you're what's right, what's good about education. The kids that you've influenced, it's just amazing. And, I know we had some real battles when we played each other, and our kids always look forward to playing you, because we knew we were playing a great team and we were going to have to play well and play one of the best teams in the state. And also our kids loved watching your kids do the Cotton Eye Joe routine. But it's just been an amazing career, Tony, and I want to thank you for what you've done for softball in this state and for the kids that you have taught and coached. And congratulations, Tony. Really great career.
I'd like to share a few experiences I've had with Coach Tony Scarborough. I met Coach Scarborough back in 1988. There was no Scarborough Field. no fences, no dugout, no infield, no sprinkler system, and definitely no lights. But there were some poles, telephone poles, that were stretched out along the roadway, marking the roadway from the gym down to the football field. I mention those poles because they're probably familiar with many past honeybees and angels. They spent a lot of time there. My first day there, I watched Coach Scarborough take 37 players. Yep, 37. I counted them and I'll never forget it. From 7th grade to 12th grade, I watched him put every piece of catcher's equipment at his feet. I watched him put it on piece by piece, demonstrating to his players the proper way to put it on, what it was for, and how to get rid of it and where to put it. He also said to his players that it was his expectation that while he was teaching that they would all be listening, no matter what position they played or wanted to play, that they never would know when he would call on them to fill a position that they weren't familiar with before they became a honeybee. I was truly impressed that day with the detail Coach Scarborough went into. I was later to learn that that was Coach Scarborough. Detailed, passionate expectations. You know, back in those days, there was no passion to support girls softball. Very little passion to support basketball, much less some of the other sports that girls participate in today. There was no Title IX. Girls had to struggle for equal practice time in the gyms, on the fields. There was no 4-year scholarships. There was very little opportunity unless you wanted to go to, say, Oklahoma. As it began, softball began to change in Mobile. Coach Scarborough, you were a key player. I watched and learned with passion as I was able to sit with you and coach with you. The dedication that you had in molding every one of those young ladies. You worked tirelessly. I sat with you and you never once mentioned to me about any parent and what they may think about what you were doing, or better yet, where their kid was playing. You were looking out for the players and the kids. You had a high expectation for them. They worked hard. They earned the right to be on the field. And that privilege, they honored. They worked very hard for it. And they knew your love for numbers. And so did everybody else. Some of my favorite memories. We would travel, call out numbers for the outfield and the defense to change. And others on the opposite teams, they would yell them out as well. We would place a cup in the fence. They would place 100. They would move them down the fence, move them up the fence. They would pull them off the fence. It didn't matter. We still had success. I want to say now that you went through some tough times in the early 90s. You didn't have much support from administration. I watched with amazement at some of the struggles you went through in getting equipment, getting a concession stand. You know, I was quite amazed at how professional you handled that. Tony, I have a lot of memories with you. I could write a book. But as a parent of former honeybees and a coach, I've had the pleasure of coaching not only softball with you, but basketball with you, I have nothing but admiration. I once told you that I felt you were the luckiest man in the world because you were truly doing with your life what you wanted to do. Coaching. Not only coaching girls softball. You had a passion for girls softball. I watched you talk to girls about more problems, more life issues. I watched you put your arm around them. I watched you console them. I watched you pep them up. Many of those girls today are professionals, housewives, mothers. I know myself from talking with many of them that you are totally admired by the sacrifices you and your family made for their success. But I want to also share a few things with you that I remember. I want to mention this just for old time's sake. One of the memories I'm glad I got to miss out on was the day the school bus ran out of gas. I would have liked to have seen it, but I missed it. But I sure do hear about it often. I went to meetings with you. I watched as back then you wanted to play games, lots of games, and you always wanted to play too. Back then, every coach didn't have that same passion and every dedication, but you did. I could tell you, I could write a book again for all the memories that I have with you. You inspired so many. I can't help but also remember the time we were in Huntsville and it was so cold. It had snowed the weekend before we left here. We went up for a tournament. It was, I think, 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it had snowed here even in Mobile. We both left here with shorts, shirts, and a jacket. And of course, late Saturday night, about 1:30 in the morning, who were we playing? Beard Montgomery. Yep, they were good back then. I looked over at you and you had goosebumps on your leg, and I did too. The rest of it I'll just leave between you and I. But I'm going to tell you it was cold. Tony, I also had the opportunity to coach basketball with you. I enjoyed that very much. But I want to say this, a memorable time for me was the time we were playing Davidson, and I don't know how I can remember it was Davidson. But you got the technical. And the guy told you, the referee told you, don't get out of that chair again, or you're gone. And of course, what did you do? You took your belt and wrapped it around the chair. So when you stood up, the chair stayed right on your butt. Yeah, everybody got a laugh out of it. If I remember, we won that game. But back to softball, I wish that some of the parents in the last few years who would have had the opportunity to follow you from destination to destination to destination without the internet, without Google Maps, without a telephone, because you left the school with passion as a sophomore in high school, ready to go to the next game. You couldn't wait to get there. You went through yellow lights. You ran stop signs, but you took some quick rights. And a lot of parents back there behind you had no clue where the field were, but we always made it. Those were good times and trying times. I could write a book, again, about all the memories that we've had. But I want to say that you're going to be missed. Driven. Expectations. Passion. Compassion. And a winner. It was an honor for me to have children play for you. It was also an honor for me to coach with you. But even more important to me, it was an honor to know you. You have served this community with great sacrifice, great dedication. You're one in a million. And I'll close by saying this. Bear Bryant once said, and I'll quote him, "You ain't nothing but a winner."
Hey, I met Coach 30 years ago as a student at Baker High School, but in 2011 is the first time I started developing a relationship with Coach. My daughter joined his junior league basketball team. As a softball player, she didn't really know anything about basketball, so he had to be very patient to teach her the game. I remember having a conversation with Miss Joyce this time, asking, was Coach getting close to retirement, or, kind of where was that going? And she's like, oh no, he is definitely not ready to give up coaching by any means, which turned out to be very fortunate for us, because in 2013, Caitlin, better known as Smack, tried out and became a honeybee. I won't ever forget the day she came home. Just excitement that was unparalleled. Her first dream, the softball world had come true. She got to be a honeybee and play for Coach Tony. So she began her journey and had a great ride there from 2013 to 2019, and I became a booster parent. Coach and I developed an even stronger friendship at this point in time because we were constantly in contact, throwing ideas around of what would help benefit the girls in their facilities, anything we can do to give them the upper hand, whether it be their facilities or things that they needed throughout. Now, did everyone always agree with every coaching decision that Coach made? Absolutely not. He's a coach, that just comes with it. As parents, you can't ever figure out some things, but he knows best. He's there with them every day. So even though parents didn't always agree with him, there was never a doubt how much passion and how much heart he had for the game and for these girls, and how he always put them first. He has so much that he taught them on and off the field, teamwork, selflessness, time management, discipline. There are so many takeaways, and if they were just open to what he had to offer, it's going to help them not only here in softball, but also down the road in life. I know it has for mine. We were so blessed to be able to have this time with him, and something that we wouldn't trade for anything. So for all these things, Coach, thank you. Thank you for investing in my child. Thank you for listening to ideas to improve these children. Thank you for the friendship that we have. And I would not trade a moment of it. And thank you, Miss Joyce, for supporting him along the way so that we could have a share of him with you. I hope you enjoy your retirement, Coach.
Hey, Tony. Buddy, it's hard to believe that you've been doing this for 50 years. 50 years in education is an amazing accomplishment. And in the softball world, you are a legend, a definite legend, not just in the state of Alabama, but in the country for everything that you have accomplished. I remember watching you coach way back in the 80s with Tony's Angels and your travel team. I remember coaching slow pitch against you way back in the day. And then we all transitioned to fast pitch, and you never let up. You won state championships in slow pitch. You won state championships in fast pitch. You are an amazing coach, amazing person, and I consider you a good friend of mine. You have helped me a lot through the years, and we've got a friendship that's going to continue for on and on. I hope you coach another 50 years, because there'll never be another Tony Scarborough. Buddy, proud of you. Have a great day. God bless you.
Congratulations, Coach Scarborough, on 50-plus years of coaching. I have great memories of my 25 years teaching and coaching, and I just can't imagine 50 years. It has to be an incredible amount of stories and great experiences over the years. I remember when we first met in the mid-'90s, I was keeping the clock at Mary Montgomery. I wasn't a basketball person, and I remember missing that buzzer one time and looking over there at you, and you were giving me that eye, and I knew this is not for me. And I don't think I ever kept the clock for basketball after that night. But I can't think of another human being that has made such a positive impact on young people for such a long period of time. It's just been amazing. And I retired 9 years ago, and I was in kindergarten when you were coaching at Shaw. So that's a long time. Representative Victor Guess and I always appreciated you including us on after the season dinners and letting us be a part of the greatness. And I enjoyed going to 2 or 3 of the state championship games at Lagoon Park. And it never got old. State championships never get old, and bringing that blue trophy home to Mobile is always a great deal, big deal. Again, congratulations on 50-plus years of positive impact.
Coach Scarborough, I simply cannot imagine Honeybee softball without you in the third base coaching box.
The image of you with your clipboard taking stats meticulously is permanently ingrained in my mind and in the minds of thousands of players during your tenure as head coach. Without question, you are a legend. And trust me, I know a little something about coaching legends. I ran for one in Angelo Harris, and I coached against a few others in Jim Tate and Pat Cowley. Those three men share more than state championships and Hall of Fame inductions with you. All of you possess the qualities of integrity, humility, passion, and commitment. You know how to coach the game, but more significantly, you know how to love kids. You have been one of the biggest champions for the sport of softball. So much of how the game is played in our state can be attributed to your influence. But that influence goes beyond the game of softball. You've helped bring attention to all female sports. Though there is a long way to go for female athletes to have equal footing with their high school male counterparts, without you, the gap between them would be much wider. Most importantly, though, you have made all of your athletes feel valued and respected. You've given them a voice, and you've taught them to carry themselves with confidence. Look at how many of your former athletes are now coaches themselves. If that isn't a testament to your influence, I don't know what else is. You taught your angels and your honeybees how to field ground balls and how to get in position to catch a fly ball. I can't count the number of times I heard you say, if you can get your glove on it, you can catch it, while I was coaching on the track. You taught your athletes how to be prepared to make the right play no matter the situation. But the most important thing you taught your athletes was to commit to working hard for something that they wanted and to always put we before me. As a colleague for nearly 2 decades, I can attest to the fact that no one, absolutely no one, has poured more of his heart and soul into his athletes than you have. Thank you for your friendship over the years, Coach. Thank you for showing thousands of girls, and some lucky coaches like me, how to be resilient, driven, and passionate. For now, I'll say job well done, Coach, though I have a feeling it won't be long until you're seen with your trademark hat and you are heard screaming great play on the ball field again. Best wishes, Coach.
My name is David Dudley, and I'm a pitching coach in Prattville, Alabama. I've known Coach Tony for about, 15 to 16 years now. How could we ever forget Coach Tony? Coaching third base with a clipboard in his hand, his Indiana Jones hat on, and those white socks. How can anyone ever forget those white socks? Even back in the day when he had the 3 rings on the top of them, like the Adidas style. And then sometimes, even in the state softball championships, which he won about 8 championships, he would sometimes yell at the batter, well, just bunt the ball, and everybody knows you're going to sacrifice, and we'd all laugh. And then in between games, especially at the big tournament games, you would find him somewhere in the shade sitting on a bucket with his famous silver metal briefcase on his knees, filling out the lineup for the next game. But all those things don't really describe what I recall about Coach Tony Scarborough. 2 things come to my mind. Number 1, character. Number 2, integrity. Character, I was told one time that what a teacher is more important than what he teaches. And that's Coach Tony Scarborough. And integrity, let me tell you something about Tony. Tony is the type person that you could play poker with over the phone. Now that's integrity, and that's Tony Scarborough. Hope you have a great retirement, Coach Tony.
There are so many wonderful things about the OG Tony Scarborough. So I wrote down a summary within my top 10, and I will share them with you now. Number 1, he picked the coolest wife. Everyone that knows Joyce loves Joyce, and obviously the best choice. Number 2, he made smart and hilarious, absolutely hilarious children that I just feel incredibly blessed to know and get to hang out with often, daily. Number 3, he introduced me to Time to Eat. And even though he gives me credit crap about going back for seconds, I will always get seconds at Time to Eat because they have the best coconut cream pie. Number 4, I love the way he plays categories because he always tries to use alliteration to rack up more points, and it's clever. It's real clever, and I appreciate that because I didn't know how to place categories. Number 5, he gives really great big bear hugs when you're telling him bye, and that's always comforting. Number 6, the way he smiles after he gets Joyce to say, Tony! And his son has replicated this well, so you should be proud. Number 7 is his love for his family, obviously. He loves all of them so much and, is committed to softball and sports over the past 50 plus years. I think that there's a lot to be said about how much his family loves and respects him. Number 8, his love and commitment to softball. He has had such an amazing career, and to do anything for that long just takes such true passion, and that's so admirable. And I hope that, in my own career, I can keep that passion. Number 9 is his incredible memory for sports, and specifically like Yankees facts. It's always fun to listen to. And number 10 is his nonchalant whiteboard messages that he leaves us when me and Tony are out of town. It always cracks me up and makes me smile. Anyways, I love you, OG Tony. I'm so happy for you on all your success at Baker, and I hope that the next move is just as amazing. Bye.
Hi, I'm Curtis Vickery. Tony Scarborough has been a provider, a protector, and an inspiration to me for over a decade now. When I first started dating his daughter Tia, he almost immediately welcomed me to his home and made room for me. During my time in that home, I experienced a sense of stability I had never known. At the time, I was a truck driver who went to work before dawn and didn't get back until after dusk. I was miserable. I never really wanted that life, and it just sort of fell into my lap. I always struggled in school. I dropped out in the 9th grade, and I never felt like I could handle college. Tony, however, felt differently. For years, he gave me consistent, positive reinforcement about my intelligence and potential while urging me to go to college. I'm stubborn, and it took a long time for that to set in. My head was filled with these negative messages about myself and my level of academic ability. Eventually, my wife and I both took these jobs at a small private school in Busan, South Korea. I did not really apply for it, nor did I expect it. The manager of the school simply felt impressed by me and offered me the job, which I hesitantly took. I was still very uncertain of my own capabilities. During this time, though, I found that I loved the job. I loved working with these kids, and I found that I have an aptitude for this kind of work. For the first time in my life, these positive words that, these words that Tony had been giving me really set in my head. He remained enthusiastic about my abilities and my potential, even when I took another truck driving job after we returned to his home in Alabama. He kept encouraging me. Years later, and after more jobs as a teacher in AmeriCorps in California and a military preschool in Nebraska, I finally did start school myself. I am currently in my 3rd year, and I have a 4.0 GPA, something I never would have thought possible. My wife and her family, especially Tony Scarborough, gave me ceaseless encouragement. He was a role model due to his decades of dedicated teaching experience, and without his consistent support, I never would have done it on my own.
Hi, I'm Tracy, daughter and former player of Coach Scarborough, but I usually call him Dad. I have some very fond memories of playing for him, except one in particular that I share with people quite often. I definitely think it's where I get my competitive spirit, and that's a good thing, because he has been known to say it is not whether you win or lose, it's whether or not you win. And so that did create me a very competitive spirit. I want to win at everything I do. I want to be the best at everything I do. However, I'm not a sore loser, and I think that's because of something else that he always did, and that is whether we won or lost a game, we ran laps for every error that we made. So I think that kind of kept us humble and just made me value that competition out, making it so important to beat everyone. And I think I really am more competitive with myself. One of the other things that I tell people a lot is it was a big mistake to let him know that I was afraid to be catcher, because what did he do but made me be catcher. But hindsight, looking back on it, I think that has helped me to face my fears and challenges that maybe I wouldn't have if you just let me continue to never do the thing I was afraid to do. Dad and Coach, thank you. I love you, and I hope that this is a good memory for you as well.
Dad, I don't know how to sum up how much you mean to me in 2 minutes. That was the time limit that Treasure gave me. Everybody talks about how much you mean to them as a coach, and I got to have you as a coach for several years, and it meant a lot to me. But I'm just glad that I was able to go home with you and have you as a coach in much more than Little League Baseball. You taught me so much about how to present myself and how to conduct myself, and I can't tell you how much that you taught me that I remember on a daily basis. I just appreciate everything that you've done for me, and I'm glad that I get to share a name with a man as great as you. I love you, Dad.
Hi, I'm Tia Scarborough, one of Coach Scarborough's daughters. I was never a Baker honeybee, but growing up I did play softball and basketball, usually coached by my dad. I'm certainly not the most athletic of my dad's kids, but even though I didn't end up an athlete and I don't compete on the field anymore, I inherited from him a certain kind of competitiveness, something that always drives me to improve and try to succeed whenever I find something I'm passionate about. That drive has sustained me through high school, college, and the many classes and trainings I've attended during my career in the Air Force. It's kind of funny. I ended up having hobbies and interests that are pretty much totally different from my dad's, but when it comes to how we approach our passions, we're totally alike. Another aspect of my dad that I see reflected in myself is his sense of humor. My dad loves to make people laugh, and he never misses an opportunity for a funny story or a joke. All 6 of his kids are the same. We're a bunch of total smart alecks. Scarborough family gatherings are always boisterous and loads of fun, just games and stories and endless sarcastic remarks. We always end up laughing and shouting and laughing some more. One interest we definitely do have in common is games and puzzles. In fact, the whole family loves puzzle games. Some of my fondest memories growing up were of the whole family getting together to play games together. We weren't satisfied, of course, with simple or cooperative games. It always had to be a big competition, but it was usually something that got us thinking and learning too. Actually, come to think of it, I might remember a few arguments about the score too, because we were maybe a little too competitive. Quiz games in particular were cutthroat. I love you, Daddy. Thank you for always being there for me and supporting me, even though you made me run too many laps.
If you don't know by now, it's been mentioned earlier that when my dad got to Baker in 1986, he took over a team that had never won more than 12 games in a season. But did you know that he also built the softball field at Baker High School? Because when he got there, the team didn't even have a field to practice on. In fact, they had to practice on land across the street that was owned by the airport. And it wasn't until he asked the principal permission to use some of the band's practice field land to build a softball field that they actually got one. And over the course of the next 36 years, my dad and his booster club would continue to grow and develop that field into what it is today. Even in the 10 years since I've graduated from high school, that field and the facilities there have just improved so much. That field, by the way, is named after my dad. It is Tony Scarborough Field. I think it was when I was still in school that it was officially given the name, but in my opinion, it was Tony Scarborough Field long before it was ever officially christened as such because, like I said, he built that field. This is something that anyone who ever played for my dad understands, but I feel like if you've never played for him, you wouldn't understand just how hard his practices were. Practices are scheduled to a T. My dad makes practice schedules every night in Microsoft Word, and every minute of those practices has you doing something. We also had all-day practices. I almost forgot about those. At the beginning of each season, we would have an all-day practice on a Saturday. So we were out there usually at about 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock at night, and always followed by a potluck dinner that I always looked forward to. I don't think there was any other team that could claim they practiced as much as we did. Of course, my dad is famously quoted as always saying, "Perfect practice makes perfect." And what that means is there's no point to going out there and practicing if you're just going to go through the motions until practice is over. You have to use that practice time every single day to get better. And I wish I could claim that I was one of those players, but I certainly played with some really talented athletes who used practice every single day to get better. I intentionally wanted to mention earlier that my dad loves the Yankees, and his favorite baseball player is Mickey Mantle, whose jersey number was 7. And just to share a little fun fact, 7 was also my jersey number for that reason. Not just the 6 years that I played for the Honeybees, but all the years before that I played park ball or summer ball, I was always number 7. His record. So this is something that some of the news outlets were a little unclear on. I was a little unclear on it as well, but I can confirm his actual high school softball record, and this is including when he coached at Evangel Christian School, the slow pitch Honeybee years, and the fast pitch Honeybee years, is 1,729 wins versus just 550 losses, and that is over a course of nearly 4 decades. And it doesn't even include all the years he spent coaching the Angels. The point is, he has been in a lot of games, and most importantly, he has won a lot of games. I know this is not the end of my dad's career. He doesn't ever want to stop coaching because he loves it so much. And I think that really speaks to his dedication to the sport, the fact that he is retiring, but not really. Daddy, I love you very much. I'm proud of you for the career that you've built, and I'm excited to see what you do next.
Once upon a time, there was a shy, too smart girl who loved watching sports but couldn't play any herself because she had no depth perception and had an unfortunate penchant for falling down. But somehow this girl managed to snag a muscle-bound 3-sport jock who also happened to be a math whiz, a championship chess player, and was a big old nerd just like she was. When I fell in love with Tony 42 years ago, I fell in love with a lot more than just the way he looked in his football pants. The only way he knows how to be is fair and honest and dedicated and principled, and I can't imagine having a better role model for our children. He's worked hard all his life to make a difference in the lives of the thousands of young people that he's taught and coached. Everyone sees all the time he spends at games and practices, but only our family knows about all the time he spends at home working on things like stats and scouting reports, making schedules for the entire county, organizing leagues for younger players, making sure his players get the recognition they deserve in the media, and promoting the sport of softball in general. And we gladly share him with his teams because they deserve a coach who works just as hard as they do. Tony doesn't like me to do it, but I love telling people that he's won 7 state championships so far, and he's in the Alabama High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame. And I'm going to keep doing it too, because he's not the boss of me and I'm not scared of him. Anybody who talks to me for 5 minutes knows that he is my absolute favorite person in the world. I get prouder of him with every passing year, and I fall in love with him more every single day. If anyone wonders why all the couples in my books are so hopelessly in love, it's because that's the only kind of love I know. I love you, Tony. I'll always laugh at all your jokes, even when I hear them for the millionth time. And you'll always be my hero, my favorite jock, and the true blue love of my life.
Tony's players are the hardest working girls and women in the country. As honeybees, they practiced 4 or more hours a day in stifling southern Alabama heat and gave up practically every weekend and most of their social lives from March to May to play softball because they knew their coach was dedicated to them 100% and worked just as hard as they did. Every one of Tony's practices were scheduled and organized for maximum efficiency, so there was zero wasted time or energy and absolutely no grass killing. Tony's exemplary work ethic and career is surpassed only by his uncompromising personal standards, and he passes on those values to his players as well. Young women who played for him 30 years ago come to watch Baker's team play and proudly tell their own children that he was the best coach they ever had. More than a dozen of Tony's players have gone on to become softball coaches themselves. Tony is not done. He said so himself. Without a doubt, he has had a lasting impact on the game of softball in the state of Alabama, and with any luck, he will continue to influence and inspire future softball players. Other than coaching high school softball, his favorite thing to do is coach young players in 8 and under coach pitch. Many of his high school players fell in love with the sport because they either played for him in coach pitch or he umpired their games. And, being the inimitable coach that he is, gave them tips and encouragement while they played. And that's because, other than being his wife's husband, the reason he was put on this earth is to coach softball.